Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Cassie, call the roll, please.
Weedmaster,
Here.
Carol, absent. Doyle, here. Horton, absent. Jackson, here. White, absent. Brown.
Here. Forum declared. Is anyone here for public comments not directly related to an agenda item?
I might be. I didn't know it till I read the agenda.
Okay.
It's more, I think, maybe a comment and a question.
Okay, so come up, identify who you are by name and address, and then fire away.
Okay, I'm Randy Bennon at 3 Gear Street.
Okay.
And comment is I would like to thank you all for the work you do, because the city does look good. It's very charming, and it's part of why we chose to move here. So my question is, the house across the street from us really isn't trying to do any improvements at all. As a matter of fact, it's abandoned, I think, because we moved here in December of 2022 and nothing's gone over there. There's a big purple sheet hanging over an exterior entrance. But is this a forum to bring that to, or who would I go to say, hey, can somebody force some activity?
I know
over
what
here?
house you're talking about. We're working on that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
But this would be the committee if you have something like that.
No, just come talk to me.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any other public comments? I'm hearing none. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the November 7th meeting.
I make the motion.
There's only one person who can second it.
Second.
You weren't here, so you can't.
Over.
There's a motion and a second. By voice vote, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? None. Motion carries. And moving right on to unfinished business, 24 HPC 068. Victor, I don't know if it's you pronounce the J or not. I'm not sure.
I can't really pronounce it.
Trujillo.
Trujillo? Okay. Victor Trujillo, owner, 442 North High Street. This is considered unfinished business. We voted on it. It went up to city council, who had a discussion about it and sent it back to us, largely on the basis of the suggestion that there was, well, certain members of city council believe that it was represented there was wooden frame storm windows that would cover up these windows. We're certainly open to hear what we're talking about here. So please step up and tell us what changed since the last time we saw it.
There's already storm windows on it. And the only thing we're doing, all our work's gonna be done on the inside. We're just taking the old sashes out and pushing these in and stopping them back in. So none of the outside's gonna be changing at all. Pretty much.
Which was the case when you were here last.
Yeah.
Um,
See, now the outside appearance of the house, we're not doing anything outside of it. So all
and you have essentially aluminum storm windows.
storm window, vinyl siding, everything. All the work's gonna be done on the inside, and none of the outside's gonna change at all.
So it puts us in a tough position because nothing's changed since we voted on this last.
I don't know if you knew that we were putting that insert in like that.
Well, you actually said it exactly that way.
Yeah.
I mean, not initially, but then you
I
said,
didn't know if you understood the old wood frame and everything was gonna stay in there and just push this in the old.
right. No, we did understand that. So you would basically have aluminum covering vinyl, which, as we explained to you last time, something we try very, very hard to eliminate.
Yeah.
I do know there was some hardship concern for you from city council because you had spent some money on these custom windows, and believe me, it's not lost on any of us either. We're people with budgets too. So it doesn't make me feel good to say this, but it's hard for us, given our rules, to say, well, there isn't a basis for an exception for you, especially because of where you're located and how visible all your windows are.
You're not gonna see them vinyl windows in there, I'll guarantee you that.
Well, somebody could go out and drape, you know,
You couldn't touch them.
cloth over all their windows and say the same thing. That isn't really the criteria. You know what I'm saying? It's not, we're not trying to put lipstick on stuff. We really want the windows to be authentically based and restored. We do understand that not everybody's going to use strictly wood windows, but
Yeah.
we've approved windows. Jonathan has an approved list of windows, and some of them are more maintenance free and more composite in nature. But flat out vinyl windows, how do we justify for the next person when we say no? I mean, we've said no to so many in a row now. We say yes to you. Tell me what distinction I'm going to make to help us through the next one. I mean, do you see the problem we have?
Yeah, I would think you'd leave that insert go in and it would front window, because you can't see anything from the outside. With that storm window and everything on there, you can't see any of that vinyl window. It's going right in the wood frame that's already there. You're not disturbing the outside or nothing. All this big massive trim on the inside staying on.
Right, but the profile of the window itself isn't going to be the same as a wood window.
Pretty much, yes.
No, it won't be pretty much because it can't sustain the same ratio of frame to glass. It just can't. That's the reason vinyl gets shut down so badly here. It just doesn't have the substance to it to allow for that. So you're going to have a ratio of glass to frame that's considerably worse than what would have been in that house when it was built.
What do you mean it's worse?
Worse because we're trying to restore things to the extent possible, given modern materials, to their original look to the extent possible. And going to a vinyl window is the exact opposite direction than we want to go.
What's the look change on it mean? What changed the look of it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm going to avoid an argument no matter what, but if I were to take two identical, you have an opening.
Yeah.
If I had a vinyl window the exact size of that opening sitting here next to a 1900 wood window, the exact size of that opening, they wouldn't look same at all. Not even close. And it's ratio of glass to frame. Not to mention, and again, I get that if there's texture differences and whatnot, perhaps your storm window covers that up. But like I said, there's a lot of ways to cover things up. I mean, I can put a plastic fence out in my yard and cover it up with a blanket too, but that's not going to do anything. We don't want that.
Well, this house has already got vinyl on it, aluminum windows, everything's wrapped in metal, aluminum, everything.
And that is unfortunate because honestly, our hope is that everybody in your neck of the woods, which is more or less the center of the historic district, at the earliest opportunity takes their vinyl off and restores it to either a cedar or one of the other approved sidings. We don't want vinyl in that area, and contributing to it, I mean, we got stuck with it. At the point in time that we became the Historic Commission and had a building inspector and a historic preservation ordinance, there was a lot of vinyl in the town already. So we're hoping over the course of the next 50 to 100 years to gradually get it to go away. So contributing to it, and again, your request is perfectly reasonable in all 500 other towns in Illinois. But this is Galena. It's different. And we have 25,000 people who visit here on Saturdays because it's so beautiful and because it's so authentic. And that's the standard we have to go by. I don't know. Again, I don't know how we approve your request. What do I say to the next person? Because the next 15 requests for vinyl in a row will be turned down. What do we say to those people?
Yeah.
It just puts us in a tough spot. And I don't want you to think we don't care because we do. I feel horrible about your situation. I mean, horrible. I was calling people in City Hall today, talking about it, trying to figure out what could be done because I don't want you in this spot. I really don't.
Thanks for that.
But it's a tough thing for this board to do anything about.
Yeah.
You know, and I, yeah, and your vote on city council, don't know. If you choose to appeal it again, and it's probably likely you will, given you did the first time, I don't know how that goes. But they're allowed to use hardship as a criteria. We are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've talked too much. What, does anybody else have anything to say?
I think you explained it all. There's not much option.
We don't have a choice, and I truly am sorry. So I can't make a motion. That's not my job.
I just don't get it, how you can put these solar panels on these old houses. How does that improve?
Well, we have a specific policy that has been voted on and approved by the city council that has to do with visibility, that has to do with where the house is located, how visible the house is, how visible the solar panels are. And I think this board, other than a couple early decisions when we didn't have that policy, I think we've adhered to it extremely closely with one exception up on the hill, which was us getting overturned by city council. Every other one of our decisions on that, I would stick by. I think we followed that policy perfectly. And again, city council runs this town, and if they send us a policy, it's our job to fill it just like their ordinances. And you're really, our decision for you has to do with the ordinance. The ordinance really doesn't allow us to approve what you want.
All right.
I make the motion to deny 24 HBC 068 vinyl windows at 442 North High Street.
Second.
There's a second. Is there any further discussion at the table? Any clarification needed? Any?
I think you handled, you
Thank you.
explained it all.
Yeah.
Cassie, call for the vote, please.
Doyle,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Weedmapp,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and please note that Mr. Carroll came in about 2 minutes after the meeting started. Item number 2, H24 HPC 075. Discussion of possible action on a request by B&G Enterprises to install Anderson 100 series windows on the sides and rear only of the apartment building at 402, 404 Broadway Street.
Hey.
Hello, sir.
Bob Wooden, 3448 East Lake Road, number 2, Scales Mound, Illinois.
Are you B&G Enterprises?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm Greg.
nice to meet you.
So this is kind of what I'm hoping to do. These are the windows that I'm looking at here. We have 17 windows to replace on the north, south, and the west side, leaving the ones on Broadway to be existing as they are. We're looking to use a Fiberx material, which is 40% wood, and it is 60% thermoplastic. They're double pane windows. Currently, we have 5 apartments in there, and we do rent to, I would say, service work, a lot of service employees on Main Street work here, and we're trying to keep the rent affordable for them, so we're looking at this option if we can possibly do. Maintain tenants for a long time, so just trying to make them a little happy.
So this exact window was before this board at our last meeting.
I'm sorry?
This exact window was in before this board at the last meeting, 60% fiberglass and 40% basically wood composite. It was voted down. The only thing unique about your situation is you're looking to not put it on the front of the house. That distinction isn't terribly compelling to me, but I would love to hear from the other members of the commission.
I thought that the applicant withdrew once it was explained to her, or was it denied?
We denied it.
We did vote and deny it.
Too much fiberglass, Woody.
What's that?
It's not fiberglass,
There's
it's
too
vinyl.
much vinyl.
Does anybody feel differently about the fact that it's on the side and back? I mean, it's Broadway.
They're in an unexposed area there, and we're gonna keep the original ones in the front, obviously.
No, I understand that.
So these in the front.
Those are the front of them, yes, yes. Sir. And I think the gangway on the south side of Stone was 6 feet wide, next to Doc Newcomer's building.
Yeah,
Do we have any history of approving something similar where someone's wanted to make a change, but only to a non-visible side, where we've made that exception before?
not for this.
Okay,
Not for this particular window.
that answers my
Yeah.
question.
We do have a lower standard for non-visible areas.
So that's recent one I could pick up is the apartment building, to be the second and third building up on Franklin.
And that was not regarding windows, or it was?
Those
regarding-
windows, I can't recall what windows we approved on the back three sides, but yeah, that apartment was something similar to this.
Right. The standard is non-visible has a little lower standard. The very outskirts of the historic district often have a little different standard.
Mhm.
You know, what he's talking about, they're dead center of the historic district and very historic buildings. So the front, we don't have any flexibility on at all. Which he understands and is already accommodating. The question is, how does the board feel? Well, I guess I'd ask you, Jonathan, price wise, how does that window compare?
I don't, that's a great question.
Yeah,
Um,
because
Is that
that
the,
window,
excuse me, is that the glass ratio you're referring to earlier?
yeah,
What is the requirement for the glass ratio?
I can't give you the number. I could easily research that for the next meeting. I mean, I know when I see it, but that's not a very good answer.
Yeah,
for
that,
you.
generally,
I say that all the time.
I mean, generally speaking, on a vinyl window, you're just getting a lot more plastic, for lack of a better term, and the glass size shrinks.
Right.
The brass
Just-
glass is a little
Yeah,
small.
and that's just pretty general with a vinyl window. We had the Anderson 100 series in like a month ago, and they are very similar
Mhm.
as far as that glass ratio goes to a vinyl window. There are other fiber windows, which this one's the first time I've seen is today. Which I don't know what the board feels about it, but a price point, I have no idea where that's gonna land, but I mean, that's the window, and that's all fiberglass as well. And this is, we kind of talked
Yeah.
about briefly for the meeting, less of, less girth there as far as like the fiberglass part goes than that Anderson 100 series was. But
It's maintenance free. It's got a nice texture to it that, we don't particularly like faux grain, and it's not faux grain. It's just got a little texture.
less shiny than
It's,
100 series was too.
if you could get that at the price point of your
I'm
Anderson,
sorry.
if you could get that at the price point of your Anderson 100, I gotta believe this board's gonna put that right through. That is the profile we're looking for. I mean, obviously, we'll always pick wood, but that's not realistic for your project. So, but that might be.
Pella impervious.
I can give you a contact. I can give you,
I got it turned up too right now, by golly.
I can give you a contact if it's something that you're interested in.
If interested in doing something, I'd like to make it better for my tenants there,
Yeah, we understand.
But,
Yes,
like I said,
Craig.
but as we all know too, I am looking to put it in a non-visual place.
Right. And board members are welcome to speak up how they feel about that. For me, your location negates that, but I'm just one vote.
Like a vote.
That is essentially Pella's competitor to what you're asking for.
Mhm.
I would say we went to Pella because Anderson was very, very expensive for the 5 windows we went to. Well, originally it was 5 windows and it was about 15,000.
No, it's 14,000 for 5 windows. Those windows for 11 windows are 11,000, but then we have to have it installed. Takes one to install. So it's probably about half of what the Anderson ones are.
Which Anderson, what about?
The one, the,
Probably the one that got shut down.
no, it's the ones that I think they,
So that's a window that I'm showing.
oh, I don't know.
That's a completely different one of those.
They priced out a pre-approved window.
Mhm.
Matt, you got any thoughts on it being on the side and back, since you're the one who's gonna be looking down on it? for the rest of the life?
I think it's a nice view from the house. I never bothered looking at it.
I mean,
It is set back. I mean, it's not obviously newcomers buildings right on the corner. It isn't super visual. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. How many windows?
There's 6 on the newcomer side,
Okay.
and then there's 2 on the north side, and the rest are in the back.
It's a big project. No doubt expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There were over 20 windows, I believe.
Right.
I
We
think
counted
17 is what it is.
17.
I believe so. I get mixed up both times.
Well, that's what you said earlier, so I just wrote it down.
I stopped there tonight and counted in when the lieutenants came out and talked to her, and I forgot my number.
But then it says 12 in here, so
Yeah, 17.
a myriad of number counts.
Is there a chance, I'm not thinking you're in a hurry to install windows at this time of year. I could be wrong. But is there a chance that you would continue this to the next meeting and take a look at the other window choices?
That was my question.
I can check that and see.
Yeah, if you're not in a huge hurry, it'd be my preference that you take a look at a couple other options, because I'm not sure it's gonna cost you more, and we might get a result that makes everybody happy.
I can do that.
I would appreciate it.
Better
So,
than a no.
I need a vote to table,
A motion to
a
table?
motion to table it.
I motion to table this.
Yeah, and a second,
Second.
by voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll call you
Motion carries.
tomorrow.
We'll see you in a
Get your
month.
phone number.
Thank
Well, you
you.
did that, man.
Take it back. Take it back.
For HPC, thank you, by the way, sir. Appreciate your good spirit. 24 HPC 076. Possible action on a request of Linda Pitts to construct an addition to the rear. And, well, from my understanding, there's also a garage, what I would call on the side. There's an addition and a garage. Is Linda Pitts here? Hi, Linda. Do you want to say anything to us, or you just want us to talk about you?
What a choice.
I was gonna say behind your back, but you were looking right at me, so that wouldn't work.
Well, first of all, it's my family home, so I've kept it. My family lived there since 1980, 54, something like that. I really, to make it more livable for me, at this point, I don't have any designs to rent it or use it as a B&B or any of that sort of thing. It's for my use. And having a garage would be a big plus. The rest of the design, I think, goes back directly behind. The kitchen has never been really updated. And I think that part of the building may have been built before the rest of the house.
Probably was.
And at that time, it would have faced First Street. I haven't been able to get all the information. But we did have a small one-story, one slot garage that my father built. And when my mother passed away, we couldn't get the door open because it had shifted so much. And so we finally were given permission to take it down. But the problem is, of course, I have to get a variance on the lot. It's a very narrow lot. My suspicion is that the 3 houses, mine and the one next door, which was the Smith house, and then the third one down, were all built at the same time, but I don't think they were. I think mine might have been built a little bit later. But at any rate, it may have been one block at one time that they divided up because it's so narrow. Doesn't match up with some of the others. But it's something I want to do in order for myself and my family to enjoy it.
Can I ask why Adam Johnson isn't here?
I've had these plans for, well, since the pandemic. And I put everything on hold at that time.
Okay.
And so I haven't had any conversation with him about that since. I'm certain that if I asked him to come, he probably would be here.
Yeah, it's just very unusual when he has extensive plans like that, that he's not the one who presents them.
Okay,
Can I ask you about the materials you're gonna use?
yeah, I would use, well, for the siding, I would use like, the cement board or whatever that is. The house itself has steel siding. And my mother put that up a number of years ago. It's in good shape. And the windows, I had pellet out today. Because I decided this before I even talked about this process. The ropes are breaking. They all need to be recaulked. And of course, they're not very efficient, but there are storm doors or storm windows on the outside that are sort of permanent. They'll be removed, and I'm getting an estimate for the wood windows to be put back in. I mean, it's similar. The only difference is that my own personal home has casement windows that I just put pellet in. And I'm very happy with them. The problem is I can't put casement windows in here. And they would be more efficient. I just found out that I can't get a federal tax credit for these windows because they cannot, I guess when they're double hung, they can never meet the standard. So, they were out today and hopefully I'll get an estimate tomorrow or the next day about putting in new windows.
The garage door?
The garage door, I haven't looked at garage doors. I would like to have something that looks like a cottage or not a barn door, but a
Shop still there or something.
Like carriage house?
coach house door. I think I have something similar like that at my home in Galena or in Des Moines, but I haven't really looked at those things. I haven't got a contractor lined up yet. And so at that point, I guess is when I would start looking at details like that. So I really don't have those.
But you're not planning on changing the materials on the historic house, other than maybe having to do something with the windows?
The windows are the only thing I plan to change.
Okay.
I put the shutters on a few years ago because they'd been taken off.
And the addition in the garage will be white?
Yeah. Now the far back room that's listed on there as a family room, I think.
Yes.
I would like to put in casement windows that would look across town. Because that's to the back of the house that I could see. My view that I have would be better than the double hung, but that's the only, and I'm not there yet, but. The idea is that I have a laundry, a full bathroom. So I have no bathroom on the main floor. And the room that's listed as family room would have the option of being a bedroom for someone my age, so I don't have to do the steps.
So Emily, I think you're somewhat experienced in this, but just to be sure. The criteria is fairly simple. For an addition, and both the garage and the addition are additions. As long as they're clearly distinguishable from the historic building and do not detract from it, which would be really an issue of gaudy colors or bad materials, then we approve them regularly.
Okay.
I, being one vote, don't see any problem with this plan at all, but I would be looking for anybody else's input.
I agree. I just want to confirm, this is for the addition. We had a discussion here for a little bit about windows and where they were going to go. That's a different approval, right? So this is just approving the addition.
Right, and if she buys pre-approved windows, and it sounds like that's where she's headed, that doesn't come before us. Jonathan just permits it and it's done.
Understood. All right. I appreciate the clarification. Thank you. Then, yes, I'm on the
Same
same
with the
page.
siding and the same on the addition, same as with the garage door.
Right. I mean, the moment she says cement board, there's nothing for us to talk about. Jonathan permits it and it's done.
And the garage door itself would be of some concern.
It could be. But again, the moment she would try to put a garage door on that's non-conforming, he's gonna bring it here. And it doesn't sound like she's going that route on anything else, so I don't think she's going to on the garage door either.
Nope. What materials do they allow, or do we allow for garage doors? I mean,
Garage doors are more about the appearance a lot of times than they are the materials, because anymore, most garage doors are some sort of composite or metal. It's just the way it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get a wood garage door, but honestly, I wouldn't suggest it to do that. But, yeah, it's more about the design.
Gotcha.
than the material.
You can get really cheap garage doors. I mean, they're really can be bad,
for sure.
but it doesn't sound like that's the case here.
Need a motion?
I do.
I would make a motion to approve the plans for the addition for Linda Pitts.
Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
When are you looking to do all this? How soon?
Tomorrow.
The windows is gonna be pretty immediate, because they just, I realized how bad they were. The ropes are broken, I can't get them up or down, and it needs to be done. The rest will have to be when I get a contractor and we come to an understanding of what has to be done.
I can't imagine you would want a garage and level places to walk during this upcoming winter.
Well, the pellet put the windows in my house last January, and it was darn cold when they did it.
Oh, my
True.
goodness.
But they were very kind and did one or two at a time, and we got through it okay. But I don't expect it any sooner than 2 months. And I just had some dirt brought in to level out the backyard and extend it a little bit, because where First Street used to go through, my parents always thought that was a right of way and they had to leave it that way. And so it's like this road that goes back. So I've had it leveled out so that it will make it a nicer yard.
Right.
But I really don't expect any construction to start on the outside until spring, but I don't know. There's work that can be done inside, really needs to be done on the inside.
This photo has to be somewhat old. That garage doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was
Yeah.
looking at it.
GIS hasn't updated their aerials in a while.
Until you make a property tax protest.
Yeah.
Then it's updated the next minute.
I get it.
Yeah, we approved that garage to come down. That happened here, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, I wasn't present then, but
Mhm.
I know that, I think it was Jeremy White
Yeah.
took that.
Oh, that's right. Yep. He's usually sitting right
Who's
there.
sitting right here normally. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, cast the roll, please.
Jackson? Yes. Wingenat?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes. Motion carries.
You don't have an agenda. item.
Look forward to it. Find yourself a good contractor.
I'm trying.
Have
Thank you very much.
a good evening. Okay, we have a non-agenda item that Jonathan Miller is going to show us this window to perhaps give it pre-approval status.
We haven't seen it yet. Do you want to see it before we even have the discussion?
Yeah, it looks big. I like it.
Yeah, so this window, it's actually, guessing the same gentleman that dropped this window off this afternoon is the same one that went and met with Linda.
Right.
And I'm guessing it's the same window he's gonna quote for her. But, yeah, this is, as far as I'm aware, the competitor that Pella has to that Anderson 100 series, although I don't believe it looks anything like that
I don't either.
100 series window. I personally liked it when I saw it. I think my opinion is you're getting less of that kind of shiny plastic look on this as you did with that Anderson window, and the profile is smaller. And this is this is a pocket replacement too. So I mean, the fact that that is smaller is better in general on a pocket replacement because you're automatically losing size on a pocket replacement
Right.
window. I completely understand the logic for doing a pocket replacement because then you're not disturbing the trim and
Sure.
old woodwork that's on the inside, but
It never fits perfect.
no, they're not. Nothing's perfect when you're doing it that way, but usually even if you're replacing the entire window, it's not perfect on an old house just because they're generally not perfectly square. But yeah, I mean, if this is a window that, you know, in general here, the board is okay with the way it looks, then moving forward, that's an option that I can give people.
Might solve some problems.
Yeah,
Is,
honestly, even the inside, which is, you know, not really a huge concern of ours, is also that same composite material, and from a distance, almost looks like painted wood.
It's not bad at all.
No. So,
Yeah, I mean, my inclination would be to put it on the approved list. I mean, I suppose there's applications, non-residential in character. And
Yeah.
high visibility areas where I may have some question about it, but that would be extraordinarily rare.
okay. And I'll hold this particular window to the same standards I do anything else. Like if somebody wants divided light, I require them to do the simulated divided light, not where it's just kind of between the glass. It's got to be the outside, inside.
Right.
Give you that appearance of a true divided light, not whatever you want to call what they do now.
do they only come in this color or?
Oh, there are multiple colors. Just he asked if black was a problem when he brought him in, but that's just all he had in the showroom to bring in. But that book's probably got the colors if you wanted to look in that.
I was just curious if we were gonna be like, if there were still color restrictions when putting in windows or.
Yeah, right there. You
Yeah,
already
we
had
got
it,
the
that
colors.
page.
Boom, I knew what I was looking for and I found it.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I agree.
Same thing, you know, applies with.
You
You
do
would
the
be going
black on the
black?
outside, is
Okay.
that okay? Is that-
Generally, yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
but
was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
usually any earth tone color, Emily, just for your knowledge, is acceptable, whether it's a tan, a brown, a black, a white, you know, something like that. That's usually fine. It's when you get into the reds, the greens, the blues that gets a little more.
we have quite a few white houses in
Iffy.
town that have black windows.
Mhm.
It's a fairly
Okay.
common combination.
It's a nice look, actually.
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean,
Our house is now blue, but
currently, we do have the, I guess, aluminum storm windows. It's a
which
solid
we're taking off.
piece
now.
on the outside.
A newer window would eliminate the need for that.
I mean, it's almost impossible to get the windows clean.
Yeah.
Can't get them all.
I'm just stunned at what's happened to the price of windows.
Yeah.
It feels like since COVID, they doubled.
Same. Because we had them done in Texas, it wasn't half so expensive
Right.
as it is now.
Yeah, so that, you know, ideally this can be a reasonable option for people, you know, without spending a pile of money.
I mean, I don't know much about I know there's a historic foundation here
Yeah,
that does grants for people that buy homes that need to be renovated.
that's not true.
Okay,
They can only give money to public nonprofit entities. So there was a period of time when I was on that board where we were getting relatively dilapidated houses donated to the Galena Foundation. Then they could use their money to start to restore them and put them in the hands of somebody who could finish the job. And there's one right on Gear Street, not too far from you, that happened to.
Oh, yeah, we've seen it progressing.
Right. But the current makeup of the Galena Foundation does not do that. So I would love to see that activity restored. That sort of one house at a time mentality, because there are, like what you're talking about across the street from you, be an ideal house for me to get into a 501c3, collect up the donations, get it back to an economically viable condition, and then sell it to somebody who could finish it off and has the money to do it. So,
Yeah, I just didn't know what the foundation did because I think we've been here a couple of times and windows are a big topic of discussion here. And I think I don't think the homeowners really don't want to have a nice looking window and keep the historic look. It's just the price point, great different a shame they couldn't have some sort of incentive to kind of offset the homeowner's cost to the look the town wants, but they don't want to spend the money either.
I think about those things all the time, how to correct it. I agree that there are certain people that probably need the help and we haven't figured out a way to get it to them. But I'll also tell you this, and this is an area of great frustration to us. You have an that sometimes move here, but certainly visit here, that can't tell the difference between cedar siding and vinyl siding. They drive by and it all looks the same to them. And you're like, it's hard for me to believe because it sticks out like a sore thumb to me, but other people don't notice it at all. And certainly true of windows.
I noticed the vinyl siding. I don't think it
I
looks.
mean, the
as
fact
pretty
that they have seams you can see from the moon. So, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Larry,
We are adjourned. Yes.
We haven't formally met on that, but.
I run in by you, but. Now, we're across from each other.
I used to sit here, what was his name? Gertz. Used to sit on the end, and I sat next to.
No, Bill.
Bill.
Bill Gertz, the old Gertz,
Right.
yeah, Bill.